crazy Amazon, the fifth largest company in the world, could be on the verge of investing in Bitcoin. Just like with Microsoft, shareholders at Amazon are now demanding that they make a Bitcoin investment. The official letter states that shareholders are demanding the board conduct an evaluation to determine whether including Bitcoin on the company's balance sheet is in the best long-term interest of the shareholders. So we are now seeing more and more companies being asked by shareholders to get heavily involved with Bitcoin. That's basically the leverage effect that more and more people are realizing, that if you don't invest in Bitcoin, you're going to get left behind big time. And then shareholders or people come along and just say, hey guys, check out Bitcoin. If you don't check Bitcoin here, then MicroStrategy will pass you by. Then Michael Saylor will pass you by. Wealthy individuals, including Jeff Bezos, might be realizing, I'm still rich, I have a successful company. But if more innovative Bitcoin companies keep popping up or more people start betting big on Bitcoin, my company may not remain the fifth largest. I might drop to sixth or seventh. They may see, I'm still atop the rich list, but Michael Saylor might surpass me. A race is underway, and more companies realize they must invest in Bitcoin. This is a vote like Microsoft. And the same could happen to Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and all the other tech giants, all the other billionaires. They could all realize, okay, I'm still at the top of the rich list, but at some point, such as Michael Saylor will overtake me, and now there's a race, and more companies, more and more firms understand that they have to bet on Bitcoin, for instance. The whole thing is now just a vote, just like with Microsoft. I think they're voting tomorrow. Even if the video is online, then that would have to be tomorrow. And just like that, it's also a vote here. There was even the secret meeting between Michael Saylor and Microsoft, not just the 3-minute pitch, but there was even another secret meeting. And something similar could happen here, where Michael Saylor is actually engaging with Amazon. And what's really exciting is that Jeff Bezos and Michael Saylor have already met on his yacht. I think that was about, a year or two ago. There was a report that the two of them have already met. So they are definitely already in contact. And it could also be that Jeff Bezos has, of course, been secretly accumulating Bitcoin for a long time, but now the whole thing might also be happening here at Amazon. My theory has always been that all the big tech billionaires, like Zuckerberg and others, already own Bitcoin just in a corporate structure. It's partly so complicated to implement because there are just long processes involved, and since these are huge corporations, it's really tough to introduce something like that because compliance and regulations are so challenging. And that's why Apple, Amazon, and Google haven't bought any Bitcoin yet. So there are definitely clear advantages, but the bureaucracy is still holding them back right now. And that's why my theory is that the tech billionaires aren't investing in Bitcoin through their companies, but they are definitely investing in Bitcoin privately. I mean, we have a Michael Dell who tweets about Bitcoin every now and then. Mark Zuckerberg's goat is called Bitcoin. You can't seriously tell me that these people, who are among the richest in the world, don't understand that they're massively undervaluing Bitcoin. If they don't buy Bitcoin, they're really going to be the losers here. Something really interesting has happened in the last few months. Jeff Bezos has sold off a ton of stock shares in the last few months. Is he sitting on a big pile of cash? And what could you do with all that cash? Drop it in the comments below if you come up with any ideas. Yeah, jackpot, bingo, exactly. You could buy Bitcoin with that and then massively leverage the company. And now let's take a look at this shareholder letter from 2021, or the shareholder demand, or however you want to call it, to see exactly what the shareholders are asking from Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and the gang. Demand. The official request states that in times of constant and often rapid inflation, a company's value is not only measured by how profitable its core business is, but also by how well it protects the profits it generates from devaluation. So, it's exactly the same problem that Michael Saylor pointed out, that Saylor is sitting on a melting pile of gold with MicroStrategy. Apple, Google, Tesla, Meta, all these big companies have the same issue. They have really solid business models. One of the few business models that are really massively outperforming here. There aren't as many profitable companies in the S&P 500 as you might think. Apple, Google, Tesla, Microsoft, and so on, those are basically the core companies, the big seven that keep the whole thing running. And these profitable business models obviously have the advantage of generating massive cash flow. But that cash flow has to be transformed into valuable assets somehow. And what's happening here is that government bonds, treasury bills, short-term T-bills, and so on are being bought, and you're getting a return of like 2 or 3%, while inflation is at 5, 6, 7%, sometimes even more. So you're looking at a negative real return of 3, 4%. In other words, you're losing money every year. So you're losing money every year. And you have to realize this isn't just a few thousand euros, we're talking billions here. When you look at it across companies, we're talking trillions that are being burned every year due to inflation. It's unbelievable how much is being burned here. And you could save that money with Bitcoin. You wouldn't even have to go all in like Michael Saylor or leverage it or anything like that. It would be enough if you just parked, for example, of his cash reserves, maybe just park 2 to 5% in Bitcoin. There are even studies, like for example, a 2% Bitcoin allocation and a 98% cash allocation over the last 15 years in every 4-year period has outperformed the S&P 500, and you had less volatility, so 2% Bitcoin, 98% cash. The S&P 500 outperformed, and you had less volatility, so 2% Bitcoin, 98% cash. Something similar could be done by Amazon, Tesla, Google, Apple, and so on. Okay, Tesla already has Bitcoin, but the others just haven't yet. And this is going to create a wave where Microsoft will be pressured to buy Bitcoin, Amazon will be pressured to buy Bitcoin, and then other companies will follow suit. I'm pretty sure about that. You can't ignore this topic anymore, especially after Bitcoin has broken through the $1,000 mark. It goes on to say that Amazon has assets worth a total of $585 billion, with $88 billion in cash, liquid assets, and marketable securities. So basically, this is the whole bond scam I've shown you. You have to think about those 88 billion. After about 25 or 30 years, they might only be worth half, just with an average inflation rate of, let's say, 2% or something like that. It even says in the shareholder request that Amazon should, and may have a fiduciary duty to consider adding assets to its balance sheet that will appreciate in value more than bonds in the long run, even if they are more volatile in the short term. 2001. So, it's being said that Amazon now even has the obligation to take care of this and can't just bury its head in the sand and ignore it anymore. Every shareholder, every investor, every company, every country, and every person who doesn't want to get left behind now has the obligation to engage with Bitcoin. And anyone who doesn't take this obligation seriously is simply going to lose. It's that simple. I also saw a really interesting take on this from Dr. Alex Frankenberg, who was a guest on Roman Rear's blog trainer during his haircut party. Check out the case that Alex makes here. I really respect him, and he always has a very good assessment. Alex Frankenberg, who was a guest at Roman Rear's blog trainer at his haircut party. Check out the case that Alex Frankenberg makes here. I really respect him, and he always has a very solid assessment. He really gets to the heart of the potential that Bitcoin has here. And you have to ask yourself whether you want to be part of this or whether you would rather just ignore the whole thing.
And it could be that this broad amount of Bitcoin available for sale starts to dry up, and the supply comes into the market much more slowly, at much higher prices, and then suddenly we could see some big jumps. So I believe in a scenario where the demand is maintained, which we're currently seeing, and with even more coming from nations, could be double what you just mentioned for 2025. And just a really important point, my Twitter handle is Just Do It Alex. But actually, what's more important, behind Just Do It Alex is HODL Trainer. HODL Trainer says when it goes down, we just went through the bear market, and a lot of people do this, saying, oh, what nonsense, I'm selling everything now. Holding this training during a bear market is the training to hold during a bull market too. And that's really important, because if I sell now, I won't see the 150, the 250, the 300, the 500,000, and so on. That's why I think you should optimize your life for yourself. And if you sell for health reasons, for your kids' education, or maybe to buy a little property, then that's totally fine. But if you're selling without thinking, just because you feel like you need to take some profits, then you should be training yourself to hold. Because what happens in the long run, but if you sell without thinking, just because you feel like you need to take some profits, then you should be training yourself to hold. Because what happens in the long run, what happens in 10, 20 years, there's more and more money, and there are 21 million Bitcoins. That's clear. What happens in the long run?
Yeah, and just like Alex Frankenberg realizes it, just like the block trainer realizes it, just like I realize it, and just like so many other people realize it, that's how it clicks with the big players too. It clicks for Larry Fink, it clicks for Michael Saylor, it clicks for Jeff Bezos, it clicks for Mark Zuckerberg, and so on. And then the real question is whether this is really the time to ignore all of this. I would really encourage you to get involved with Bitcoin now. Please leave me a subscription here so that I can always be up to date, because now it's really about getting to grips with Bitcoin, because whoever is sleeping here now could really miss the chance of a lifetime. Of course, I don't want to give you FOMO. Of course, you don't have to. You can just Netflix and chill. You can blow your money on pointless things for all I care, and then regret it in 10 years when you simply realize, shit, Bitcoin is now worth several million. Someone once told me, hey, you should check out Bitcoin. But no, I prefer to go munch on chips and bratwurst and just chill on Netflix all day. Totally missing out because I had other priorities in life. You can't really blame anyone for that. But in the end, that's just the reality you have to grasp now. You have this incredible vehicle, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can take advantage of it to elevate your life to a whole new level. I'll also drop a link below for Bitcoin. Highly recommend it. If you want to buy Bitcoin or if you're new to it, you should definitely find a way to buy Bitcoin easily. Even if you're advanced or a pro, Benton Bitcoin is still recommended here. It's super easy. You can definitely buy Bitcoin here with the code BitcoinHotel, and you even get up to 20% off the fees when you purchase Bitcoin. Also, feel free to check out our shop. We've got these cool Flower of Life t-shirts, plus other awesome merch, hardware wallets, recovery tools, and a lot more. The shop is also linked directly in the YouTube description, our Bitcoin Hotel shop, so feel free to check it out. We'll see. Let me know if Amazon is actually buying Bitcoin or if this is all just a fake news story. Until then, peace out.